First of all, you need some equipment. You need a turntable, which is this thing here. Now, you know, you could probably use a Lazy Susan. It's actually called a turntable. Okay, here I'm going to put the layer cake on this cardboard here just for support. Now look, what you want to do is you want to take this top layer of skin off. The real nice pastry shops, they all remove this top layer. In other words, when you cut the cake, you don't see that brown, that dark brown layer of the whatchamacallit, of the cake. Alright, we're going to mix up the whipped topping. This is the whipped topping. You have to go to a restaurant supply house to buy this whipped topping. I've looked in every single grocery store. I can't find it anywhere. We're going to add some of this whipped topping. This stuff is kind of like a it's kind of like an imitation whipped cream. Alright, there we go, just like that. Okay, now we're going to fill it with strawberries. You want to make sure you don't have any of them hanging off the edge. The strawberries, you want to make sure that they're all on the that they're all in the cake. Nothing hanging off. I washed these, by the way, yesterday, and I cut them. They have to be dry. If the strawberries aren't dry, it's going to add too much water to the whipped topping, and the whipped topping's not going to be stable. So you have to make sure that they're dry. Very important. And keep them inside of the edge of the cake. You want to stick out, you want to hang out of the cake. Alright. Now we're going to add another thin layer of whipped topping. If you don't add this layer on here, and then what happens is the top layer will not stick. And when you go to cut it, the whole thing just falls apart. So you got to have something for the top layer to stick on. Alright, there we go. Now we're going to get the other layer. I baked the cake last night, by the way, and I refrigerated it so that it's you know, a lot easier to work with. Now we don't want this whole layer on top of that layer, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut it a little bit. Now again, this is where your turntable comes in. Got to have a turntable for this. Okay, alright, looks pretty good. Okay. Now we're going to put what they call a crumb layer on it. And the crumb layer, what it does is it's going to capture all the crumbs. So that when you go to put the regular layer on, you don't have a whole bunch of crumbs floating through the cake. We're also filling up that gap in the side. There is a little bit of a gap. All right. Now there you go. Now you've got the crumb layer on. Now it's ready for the regular. This is the last layer. This is the topping now. Okay, the crumb layer is going to ensure us that we don't get any crumbs in this top layer. So in other words, the cake will be white and it won't have a bunch of you know, little brown crumbs in it. Okay, it doesn't matter whether you start from the sides or the top. It doesn't matter. We could have started from the sides. We could have, you know, we did start from the top, but it doesn't matter which end you start from. Okay, all I'm doing now is putting another layer on the sides to cover up all the, you know, all the gaps in there. Okay, now here's what we have. Check this out. We've got a comb. This is called a cake comb. It's a piece of aluminum that's cut, and what you do is you comb the sides of the cake. There you go. There you go. The sides are combed. You don't push too hard, you just push enough so that the sides have some neat little grooves in it. Okay, now you have to smooth out the top. And the way you do that is you just hit it right along that edge and bring it into the center. Just hit it right along the edge. There you go, look at that. Okay. Okay, look at that. Whoa, baby. Alright, nice and smooth. If you have any little specks in the top, you can always cover those with flowers, which is what we're going to do here in a minute. But for right now, I'm going to put some toasted coconut around the bottom. This coconut looks darker than it actually is. It's just perfect right now. I know it looks dark on the camera, I can see, but believe me, it's not burnt. It's just right. Alright, and the way you do this is you hold your cake in your hand and then you smush some around there. That's all you do, lightly smush it. And I'm going up about, I don't know, about an inch. Okay, there we go. Alright, there it is. Now I'm going to set this in the fridge. I'm going to make some more whipped topping and then we'll make some roses. Okay, here's what I've got here. I've got 3 containers with food coloring. One yellow, one red and one green. All right. Okay, now to make roses, what you need is you need a rose nail. This is called a rose nail. It's actually a nail with a piece of metal on the top. Okay. And you also need a rose tube. That's the rose tube. Now look, you're not going to be able to make these the first time, I guarantee you that. This takes practice. But you know what I did? When I first got a job in a bakery, here's what they did. They whipped up some shortening and they gave me a rose nail and a bag with a rose tip. And they told me to go home and practice making roses. And I did. And before long, boom, I could make roses. All right, now here's what you do. The first application you put on is the base, and the base has to be strong. So here's what you do. Okay, you make one turn like that, then you make another turn on top of it. And you see that? There's a turn on top. Then you put one more turn around on the bottom. Okay, now all you do is what I'm doing right here. You're putting the petals on. Okay, and as you go out, of course you're going down farther. And there you go, there's a rose. Okay, now if you make these up ahead, it helps when you go to decorate the cake. All right, now I just take it off with the scissors and put it onto the something, whatever you want to put it on. All right, we'll do it again. Make the bottom. Okay, the rose tip, the small end goes up. All right, there you go. You're just putting on petals. That's all you're doing. It's actually pretty easy once you get the hang of it. It's not hard at all. Once you get, you have to learn the pressure of the bag and the turning of the nail. Like I said, though, it's really important to make the base strong. The base has to be strong, otherwise forget it. The thing's going to be all wobbly and it's not going to work. Alright, there's 3. We'll make one more. Okay. You put 2 on the base, 1 on the bottom of the base, and then just start with the petals. Like I said, if you really want to do this, get some Crisco, whip up the Crisco, so it's nice and fluffy, and get yourself a rose nail and a rose tip and start practicing. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit more red to this because I'm going to use the same bag as the yellow. Oh, that's another thing. The topping that you're using, it's got to be stiff. If the topping, like in other words, Cool Whip, you'll never be able to do this with Cool Whip. You got to have either buttercream or you can use whipped cream. Whipped cream will work. Or this whipped topping. If you can't find the whipped topping anywhere, go with the whipped cream. I don't like buttercream. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just whipped grease. Kind of sucks. Whipped grease. Not very appetizing. Alright, here we go. We're going to put 1 down first, 1 on top of that one. You see that? Okay, then 1 more around the bottom. That's got to be very strong, okay? And then you put on your petals. Alright. There you go. 1 on top, 1 more on the bottom. Once you get to the bottom of the rows, you don't really need to do petals. You can just do one continuous line. Watch this way. Okay, 1 on the bottom, 1 on top, 1 on the bottom. Now you put your petals on. Okay, there's 3, 4, 5, 6 petals. Now you just let it run. And you got rose. Alright, we'll try to get one more out of it. I don't know if there is any. There's enough, one more. You can make the rose tips in different sizes, and rose nails also. You can make them in different sizes. Hey, oh, it's a little one. I'll show you how to do some rose buds. Now, when we get to the cake. Here, we can put this together, and we'll do some rose buds when we get on the cake. With the rose buds, you can use the same tip, the same rose nail. Alright. Alright, we get the cake back up here. We're going to write on it, happy 50th birthday. Do your writing first before you put the flowers on. Okay, I'm going to write this in chocolate. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of parchment paper. This is just parchment paper. And I'm going to roll it into a pastry bag. Here, I'll show you. There you go. I rolled it into a pastry bag. You can see it. Alright, we're going to put the chocolate right inside of it. Now, I didn't strain the chocolate. I probably should have. You know, I've got a real fine strainer. It's made for that. It's a chocolate strainer. And what it does is it takes out any little particles at all. But I don't have time for that shit. I'm in a hurry. Alright, now we're going to cut the tip. Here we go. You go first letter. You go over it. You go over it line for time. Okay. Alright, here we go. Happy 50th birthday. Okay, now we are going to add the roses. There you go, the roses are already made up. They're easy to add. Just drop them in. Just like that. You could raise them up a bit if you want, but the problem is the box that I made is not very high. So I don't really want to raise them too much. Let me see, I'll put one here. What I'll do is we'll put rose buds down on the bottom. Because these roses, now there's one. After we'll put two in there. Okay. Alright, those are all the roses we made. Wait a minute. Here it is. Okay, now for the leaves and the stems and the buds. Take another piece of parchment paper, fold it up like that. Take your topping, put it in there. Alright, now watch this. For the stems, you're just going to make a round tip. And just going to go like this with the stems. Alright, nothing fancy on the stems. Okay, now for the buds, you use your rose tip again. And you put the large end forward and just go like that. Okay? That's all you're doing there. Okay, now the leaves, you take your round tip that you made the stems out of and flatten it. Okay, you flatten it. It's only made out of paper, remember? So flatten it and just cut both sides of the paper and it'll come out and it'll look like leaves. Watch this. There you go. Alright, there you go. Put a couple leaves in between here. A couple there. Alright. Okay, now we're going to add the final. The final border. Alright. All right, there's so many things you can do here. You can put a doily. You can, I mean, you know, there's just so many different things you can do. I'm just putting it right on the plate. And I'm hoping that it's going to fit in the box. It doesn't look like it. Oh man, it's close. It is close. Okay, there you go. There you go, folks. Happy 15 años.